there was a real iconic moment for all of us that's imprinted on our heads the day that the allegations were brought to the community there, against Mike Bickle last year. And they were very vague in what they said. They said that there had been allegations. I can't recall at this point, even if they said that they were sexual, but there were allegations of misconduct. And one of the former leaders stood up, and he used profanity. And I don't know if you allow that, but he pretty much stood up and said that it's righteous BS, is what he said right there in the middle of the whole church, that's well-intended righteous BS. And I think that moment right there was a catalytic moment for a lot of people, because we saw somebody else that we esteemed in that movement sit there and call their bluff on it and tell us that there was more going on than what they were letting on. And I think that allows people to see through the fog.
Yeah. We don't allow the term BS on this show. Instead, I try to use the phrase NAR prophecy, because really both are the same.
Looks like it, smells like it might be it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's, when you take a step back from all of this, I did an episode with Charles. I don't know if it'll air before or after this, but we were talking about the deliverance ministries, and I got my hands on a handbook of training of said deliverance ministers, and oh my gosh, man, the stuff in there. If you're not wrapped up in it, if your head's not indoctrinated, and you look at this, you're like, this is some crazy stuff, man. This is like one step away from Dungeons and Dragons for adults.
IHOP never got too weird with the naming of spirits and things like that happen in some charismatic circles, but it really does. It starts feeling more like LARPing than it does anything helpful. Yeah.
So there's so many things that we could talk about on this series. So I'm going to call it Detangling IHOPKC. And, if you are a member of IHOPKC and you were indoctrinated in this and you want us to talk about something, there's a specific topic, just send it to us. You can email me. Actually, you can go to the website, william-branham.org, and click on the contact button and just send me a message, and I will add it to our list of things that we can talk about. But today there are things that we have to be careful, because we need to do it tastefully. But today I want to say it was last week, there was a big event that happened in charismatic Christianity that there are some links back to the Branhamism and some links to IHOPKC that I'll let you introduce it, Brantley, but the topic is significant.
So approximately about a week ago, Chris Reed, all of this started when Chris Reed resigned from MorningStar Ministries in Fort Mill, South Carolina, pretty abruptly. I don't think that a lot of us had seen that coming, had heard rumors, but IHOPKC people are very familiar with Chris because he was the one who came in and spoke to the congregation immediately after Mike Bickle's allegations went public. He was actually with Mike when the allegations went public, whenever Sam Storms and Francis Chan were turned away when they showed up at Mike's house to confront him. So Chris became a prominent figure in that whole debacle. His message was not to look back, but to only look forward, that there's greater things in front of you than that lie behind you, which is a way of damage control, image management. Hey, this terrible thing that Mike did, let's move on, let's forget it. He told people that they don't want to be like Lot's wife and look backwards and turn into a pillar of salt. And so that was the former IHOP members who hadn't been around recently, that was our introduction to Chris Reed. And Chris, from my understanding, took over MorningStar, or came to MorningStar in 21, and with the intentions of him becoming the president and CEO of MorningStar Ministries. And so that person up to that point had been Rick Joyner, And Rick has ties to the Kansas City Prophets. So he was one of the guys that ran around with them. The ones that we talk about frequently are Bob Jones and Paul Cain, who were the two prominent figureheads. But Rick Joyner was a part of that crew as well. One of the things always struck me odd that really isn't anything of substance, but is that in the 5 years I was at IHOP, John, Rick Joyner, I think I saw him one time pop up there. So there wasn't a whole lot of direct cross-pollination like there was with Bethel Church in California and other houses of prayer, and where we had a whole lot more overlap. But Chris Reed also, I think, is significant. Have you seen the video of Paul Cain praying for Chris Reed?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's, and if you understand what's being said, it looks like very much like the passing of a mantle.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm curious your thoughts on it, because the one thing that I don't think I've watched the video in its entirety. I think I've seen a clip of it, and how he almost seemed like he might have been taking a shot at you, John. That they were talking about all the lies that had been spread about William Branham and all these things, and that they would only remember the good things. Almost, it seems like what the prayer was when passing that on to Chris.
Yeah, there's some. I've not talked about it much, and still, I think I'm going to be a little bit reserved. I don't want to show all my cards at the moment, but there was a point in time in which it was about the time that I started to publish the connections between William Branham and the high-ranking officials of the Ku Klux Klan, and I still haven't really gone as deep as I could. There are some things in there that would blow people's minds and blow people's heads, some of which it goes beyond even the Klan. There's a little bit of risk in saying everything, but you've got, in my book, Preacher Behind the White Hoods, I talk about the unusual connections to the Kennedy assassination. Not saying that these guys assassinated Kennedy or anything like this, but you've got, William Branham's mentor is right there in the Oak Cliff subdivision in Dallas, and he's president, I think, of the Oak Cliff White Citizens Council, something like this. He was so well known in Dallas that if you were in Dallas and you're watching the news, you're listening to the radio, you're going to hear his name. This is the mentor of William Branham. And you have people like Gordon Lindsay, the head of CFNI, who is also in the Oak Cliff subdivision. So they had to know each other, and Lindsay is publishing letters from the Imperial Wizard of the Klan in Voice of Healing. So, you have to step back and just scratch your head and think, wait a minute, all these guys knew each other. And anyway, so when I began exposing all of this, I started receiving emails from Paul Cain, and then phone calls, and I've spoken to not just Paul Cain, but people, on his staff. He had this weird harem of men that followed him around. I don't know if you know much about that, but
I've heard that he's surrounded himself with male assistants and different things like that. But yeah,
there's some weirdness there. But anyway, so he contacted me, and I've never said this publicly, but it wasn't long after that people who became significant in the MorningStar organization also were contacting me, and they were asking me questions as though they were truly a person who is seeking help from one of these organizations. And yet here I'm looking at the name and the person, and oh my gosh, this is a ranking member of MorningStar. And as I'm trying to answer questions, the focus was on prophecy, and the questions were specifically about failed prophecy. So they were aware that I was publishing information about William Branham wherein prophecies had failed. And I was explaining that, biblically, a prophet gets one chance, man. It's either right or he's a false prophet. There's no in between. Because if you're making stuff, I almost used a word that I can't use on the show. If you're making stuff up.
I'm bringing it out of you, John.
You're bringing it out of me. If you're making stuff up and people catch you at it, then, you're making stuff up. It's that simple.
Yeah.